Hello everyone. In this video, we talk about the muscles of the lower extremity, which can be divided into the muscles of the hip, of the thigh, and of the leg. We start with the origin of musculus psoas major and the origin of musculus iliacus. Both muscles insert into the trochanter minor. We can also see the close relation of the said muscles with the quadratus lumborum. Next, we have the deep posterior group of the hip muscles. For that, we first draw 5 origins from crania to caudal. The anterior surface of S2 to S4, spina ischiadica, foramen obturatum, tuba ischiadicum, and once again tuba ischiadicum. The first 4 muscles insert into the trochanter major. These are musculus piriformis, gemelli superior, obturatorius internus, and gemelli inferior. The 5th muscle inserts into the crista intertrochanterica. Because of its rectangular shape, it is called musculus quadratus femoris. For the superficial posterior group, we first draw linea glutealis inferior, by starting in the middle of a curve between zips and spina ischiadica, and by going towards the as. Then we draw linea glutealis anterior and linea glutealis posterior. Now we mark the origins of musculus glutealis minimus and medius, and mark the insertion of them on the trochanter major. The origins of musculus gluteus maximus are its respective part of facies glutealis, fascia thoracolumbalis, os sacrum, and os coccygeus. Its insertions are tuberositas glutealis and tractus iliotibialis. Lastly, we have the musculus tensor fascia latae, which reaches from the spina iliaca anterior superior over tractus iliotibialis to condylus lateralis tibiae. Now we move on to the muscles of the thigh and start with the medial group. We first draw the origin of musculus obturatorius externus and pectineus. Then we draw the insertions on fossa trochanterica and linea pectinea. Next, we draw the adductor muscles, and we start by drawing one line, which represents 3 origins, on the corpus of os pubis, and another line on the ramus of os pubis. Their insertion is on labium mediale, and it is divided into a section for musculus adductor minimus, adductor brevis, and adductor longus. The musculus adductor magnus inserts into the whole labium mediale and additionally into the tuberculum adductorium. The last muscle of the medial group is the musculus gracilis, which originates from os pubis and inserts into the pes anserinus. The first muscle of the anterior group, musculus sartorius, also inserts into the pes anserinus, but originates from the spina iliaca anterior superior. It runs anterolateral to musculus gracilis. Now we will talk about musculus quadriceps femoris. Its origins are the spina iliaca anterior inferior, the anterior surface of the femur, linea intertrochanterica with labium laterale, and linea intertrochanterica with labium mediale. They insert into the tuberositas tibiae via the patella. For the posterior group of the thigh muscles, we draw on the tuber ischiadicum the origins of musculus semimembranosus, musculus semitendinosus, and musculus biceps femoris. Their insertions are condylus medialis tibiae, pes anserinus, and caput fibulae. For the muscles of the leg, we start by drawing the origins of the anterior group, namely musculus tibialis anterior, extensor digitorum longus, and extensor hallucis longus. Next, we mark the insertions of the said muscles and connect the origins with the insertions. We do the same with the lateral group, musculus fibularis longus and brevis. Note that the fibularis muscles run behind the malleolus lateralis and that the musculus fibularis longus runs on the plantar surface. Next, we have the deep posterior group, which is organized similar to the anterior group. We start with the origins of musculus tibialis posterior, flexor digitorum longus, and flexor hallucis longus, and after that the insertions of tibialis posterior, flexor hallucis longus, and flexor digitorum longus. For the connecting of the origins with the insertions, I recommend the following order. First, we connect origin and insertion of musculus hallucis longus while going dorsal to the malleolus medialis. The musculus tibialis posterior has the same course but crosses the musculus hallucis longus at the end. Now to the musculus flexor digitorum longus. It already crosses the musculus tibialis posterior right at the beginning. Then it runs like the other two muscles dorsal to the malleolus medialis. Shortly after that, it crosses once again and ends at its insertion. For the superficial posterior group, we have the musculus soleus, plantaris, and gastrocnemius. All of these muscles insert into the calcaneus via the Achilles tendon. Now a quick summary. Starting with the hip muscles, the anterior group consists of musculus psoas major and musculus iliacus, which insert into the trochanter minor. The 5 deep posterior muscles of the hip, which mostly insert into the trochanter major, are musculus piriformis, gemelli superior, obturatorius internus, gemelli inferior, and quadratus femoris. The 4 superficial posterior muscles are the 3 gluteal muscles and musculus tensor fasciae latae. Now to the thigh muscles, starting with the 7 muscles of the medial group. There are the musculus obturatorius externus and pectineus. Then we have the 4 adductor muscles, musculus adductor minimus, medius, longus, and magnus. The last muscle of the medial group is musculus gracilis. The anterior group consists of musculus sartorius and musculus quadriceps femoris. The posterior group consists of 3 muscles, all originating from tuba ischiaticum: musculus semimembranosus, semitendinosus, and biceps femoris. Now to the leg muscles, starting with the anterior group. There are the musculus tibialis anterior, extensor digitorum longus, and extensor hallucis longus. The lateral group consists of musculus fibularis longus, with the same insertion as tibialis anterior only from the plantar side, and musculus fibularis brevis. The deep posterior muscles are similar to the anterior group. There are the musculus tibialis posterior, flexor digitorum longus, and flexor hallucis longus. Keep in mind that musculus flexor digitorum longus crosses the other muscles each before it ends in its insertion. Lastly, to the superficial posterior muscles, which all insert as the Achilles tendon into the calcaneus. We have the musculus soleus, plantaris, and gastrocnemius. Alright guys, that's it for the muscles of the lower extremity. Thanks for watching and see you next time.